Most people think that eating less, moving more, and just sticking to healthier habits is all it takes to see results in the gym. And social media reinforces this time and time again. Whole foods and lean physiques constantly shoved in your face with over-generic messages about motivation and discipline is all it takes to see results. But here is the problem. You can do everything right and still feel like you're stuck and not making progress at the gym. You might stick to a workout plan, eat healthier, throw away the junk food, and then 3 months later, you still feel stuck and eventually entirely burning out from fitness itself. And the real reason isn't what you're doing at the gym or in the kitchen. It's actually what's happening outside of those things, in your environment and in your brain. I'm a behavior science specialist in Australia, and I work with people every single day in order for them to achieve their goals and improve their quality of life. And today, I will be bridging psychology and fitness in order to uncover why progress is so much harder than it should be. I want to talk about the self-improvement mindset trap that everyone obsesses over in fitness. As a beginner, you're so vulnerable to what you see online and what you read about. And so you're constantly trying to consume, learning about calories, learning about your macros, healthy eating, what gym program to do, what app to get, what gym clothes to buy. And while these things are somewhat important in all of our fitness journeys, only focusing on them can actually blind us from the most important factor, which is our environment. In my work as a behavior specialist, I use what it's called the socio-ecological model, also known as the onion. Because it literally looks like one. And I use this in my work to analyze people's behaviors as well as their environment. Now, most people will focus on internal factors, such as motivation, discipline, healthy habits. But your social and environmental factors are so vital. They literally shape your ability to succeed or not. Now, when I first started my fitness journey in Australia, that was about 3 years ago. And during that time, I was under immense financial stress. I had 4 jobs that I was working at the same time, and all the while studying and finishing my psychology degree. And I also just didn't have any friends or informal supports to lean on. And I was stressed all the time. I gained weight, in fact, and I was eating whole foods, I was exercising right 5 days a week, and yet progress was as far as I could remember. And the reason for this is that stress impacts your progress directly. Now, stress triggers cortisol, which is designed in your body to keep you alert and safe. But if you have chronic stress, which means experiencing stress over long periods of time, is actually going to increase your water retention. So how much water is stored in your body. And the second thing is your body is going to store as much fat as possible in your stomach. And also, it slows down your metabolism, so your ability to actually burn calories, despite you moving more and eating healthier. In fight or flight mode, your body clings to weight no matter how perfect your diet or training is. Now, this brings me to my next point, is that stress creates an all or nothing cycle. Now, your brain actually shifts from utilizing your prefrontal cortex, which is known for logic, reason, discipline, and actually focusing on growing your long-term goals, to then focusing on your amygdala, which prioritizes survival and impulses. I remember so vividly last year coming back home at 6 p.m. and feeling this heavy weight on my chest, as if it was so hard to breathe. And I knew that as soon as I came home, I wanted to just relax. But I was faced with inevitably taking a shower, realizing I didn't meal prep and make any dinner, which meant I had to cook. And all of those tasks just felt so exhausting and tiring. And also realizing that I had to do this all over again. again and again and again. My energy was so reduced and so drained. And I would use anything, especially social media and refined sugars, to just constantly get that quick dopamine hit all the time. And this is exactly why the cycle continues to repeat. When you fall off track and get back on, stay consistent and fall off back again, is because your body is constantly in fight or flight mode. Then there is punishment-based motivation. You skip the gym, binge eat, or both, and then you inevitably look in the mirror, hate what you see, and feel so disgusted and gross, where you're like, enough is enough. I have to get back to the gym. I have to set this perfect routine. And it's so unrealistic. And you use the gym as a way of punishing yourself, and in order to fix yourself to get to this perfect version that doesn't exist. I constantly remember that every time I was at the gym, I would always find a way to look at a mirror in order to see whether I was making progress, whether I was losing weight, looking leaner, and obviously that wasn't happening. And so I would feel so disappointed over and over again, as if something was wrong with me. And this is what punishment-based motivation looks like. You punish yourself to be this perfect person and to have all these perfect habits in place. And you use the gym as a way of fixing yourself to get to where you want to be. But this mindset creates such a fragile identity. You feel like you're never good enough unless you do X, Y, and Z. Progress is feeling further and further away. Your anxiety is increasing, your stress and cortisol are through the roof, and the cycle keeps repeating inevitably. That's why motivation driven by guilt is intense but short-lived, because burnout is always right around the corner. So you're probably thinking, now how do I escape this loop and finally see the results I deserve? The first strategy I would recommend is actually examine your current environment. What are your current stressors? Are you in a toxic relationship? Are you in a toxic workplace environment? Are there family members that you're clinging onto that are not good for your life and that constantly bring you down and you never feel good enough around them? You need to be brave and to actually recognize what's really holding you down in your immediate environment, because ultimately it's what's going to set you free later on. Recognition is always painful, but it's always the first step to finally being free. Now, the second thing is to actually confront yourself. What are your goals? What do you strive to achieve? Is it eating healthier? Is it wanting to see progress at the gym? How badly do you want these goals? And if you do, are you willing to change the things in your environment that you can control? This is the hardest part, recognizing whether you will take that first leap and actually change and cut off things that are toxic in your environment. Now, sometimes you can't change your environment. There are things that are happening that are beyond your control. So if you're in this situation, I would highly recommend using this strategy, which is to focus on regulation. Now, regulating and focusing on this, even just 5 minutes a day, can actually shift your body and mind from survival mode to focus and calm. And what this does is it actually activates the parasympathetic system, and it allows your body to shift from stress and worry to restoring focus, self-control, and emotional stability. But don't overload yourself. The goal isn't to add one more thing that you have to do. It is working with what you're already currently doing in your daily routine and adding to the existing structure that you currently have. Some examples of sustainable change that I like to do in my personal life is I work at a 9-to-5 job, and I want to just relax when I come home. So something that I do is I park my car right outside my driveway and immediately go for a 30-minute walk. Sometimes I listen to music or chat to a friend to just vent and let everything out, which really allows me to feel so much more relaxed when I enter the house. Now, if you have a desk job or if you have a physically demanding role that you're in, sometimes you store a lot of stress and tension in parts of your body. I know that I store a lot of stress in my upper traps, my neck, and my shoulders. And so something that I like to do is immediately when I get home, I like to take a warm bath. And that just helps me reset everything and allows me to just relax and breathe. And after I take a shower, I just spend 5 minutes just doing some light stretches. And I immediately feel such a big difference in having tension released from my body. And it even helps me get better sleep, which actually improves my focus and productivity levels the next day. Another strategy that I use is an app blocker. Now, what this does is it actually blocks social media apps. And this is especially useful if you finish work, you come back home, you want to relax, you open your phone, and then you look at the time. And then it's 9 p.m. You look at the time again, it's 11 p.m. And you're just thinking, where did all that time go? What could I have been doing? And looking at social media doesn't, in fact, make you relaxed. It actually increases your stress even more, makes you have bad sleep, and it's just not good for you in general. So I highly, highly recommend getting an app blocker that you can set literally when you get home so you can do something else with your time to avoid that constant gratification and dopamine hit and to actually stay grounded in reality. Stress, environment, and punishment-based motivations are what are actually keeping people stuck and limiting their progress at the gym. But it's fixing your environment and regulating your stress levels, which is what's going to help you get more consistent and better results at the gym. Now, if this is a video that you loved and enjoyed, I would love if you could give a subscribe and follow, and stay tuned for so much more to come for bridging psychology and fitness together. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.